I'm just going to go through the things that I use to work with my polymer clay. First thing I need is the clay itself. There is several different makes of clay. I like the Fimo and I also like the Prima. They're both really nice. This is a classic one, so when you press it, then you see it's quite hard. Now you can get all different ones. This is a soft, so when you come out you can see now, even just before, it's going to be a nice soft clay to work with. If you've got hands which are quite hot, this might not be the one for you, because it might go very sticky very quickly. You can also get Fimo Effects, which have different types of, you can get glow in the dark ones, you can get ones which look like metal and all those sorts of things. I think they do those in the Primo as well. Those are quite nice if you want to make a different type of project. Now, my tool I use all the time is this one, and if you are going to buy anything, I think that I would suggest that's the one thing to buy. It's a blade, it bends, so you can sort of, if you had your clay on the table, you can sort of cut into a round shape or cut straight. So I use this one, that's the main tool I would use. Next I have a rolling pin. Now this is a Sugarcraft rolling pin. I just got it from a car boot, I think. It comes with lots and lots of different bands of all different widths, so that when you want to roll out your clay, you can have it fatter or thinner using the different rollers there. But if you don't want to pay such a lot of that, I think my husband went online and he bought these for our children's nursery because they couldn't get any of them, and he just bought a long piece of acrylic and he had it delivered, and then he just chopped them all up small, and he took lots of them into the nursery and we just kept one at home for the children, so we use those as well. So that's a cheaper way of doing it if you want to. And then if you wanted to do that, all you need to do is get some popsicle sticks. I've got jumbo popsicle sticks here, but you can just use ordinary popsicle sticks. These I got from the Works, which is a UK store, but you can get just the ordinary popsicle sticks into Poundland, so that would be a cheaper version of it for you. Next you have the ball tools. Now I got mine in a pack, I think of 3 or 4, and they've got a little ball on the end, and as you go through the pack the balls get different sizes. So that helps if you want to get and make, say, a circle, or you want to put a dot in it and then put a bead in for an eye or something like that. So that works quite well. So that's one with the ball tool on it. This is another one which I use all the time. I bought these from eBay and I think they were like either $2.99 or $1.99, something like that, and they came with free delivery. What it is, it's got a silicone piece on the end. I think it came, there was 3, maybe 4 in the pack, and it really helps when you want to smooth out the pieces of dough, especially if you've got little tiny bits and you can't get your finger in there to smooth it out. You can use this brush. It's like silicone on the end. I don't know if you can see, it's sort of all bendy and silicone-y, which is quite good. If you didn't want to get one of these, this is just exactly the same with the silicone bit on the end, and this is what I used before. I got this from a nail file set. I think I paid £1 or something like that for it into Poundland, so that might be something else if you could look for around the house. Then I use this. Now I have knives, I have quite a lot of different knives, but I quite like this one. You just push it down, I don't know if you can see, it's got a little line there, and each one of those is a new blade, so you use that for cutting, and then you push that down and you would just use that as a new blade. And I think I got this in Poundland, but I'm not sure. I'm trying to give you all the cheapest places where you can buy things. So that's my knife. I'll just put that there because I want to show something in a minute. Again, I got these in Poundland and I got 3 of them. They're all got the hard bristles on them, and it just really helps if you want to make indentations all over the, I'll show you on the piece of board I've made here. So if you wanted to just go over, I don't know if you can see where I've gone over and making little indentations all the way along. So the toothbrush is really good for doing that. I haven't found anything else which is as good as the toothbrush for doing that. You can roll up foil, and as you can see you'll get that nice pattern and press that onto the clay. But quite often that gives you a bigger pattern where the foil is. So that's another one that you can use. I'll come to the foil in a minute. You probably want a paintbrush, but just any cheap paintbrush will do, and you'll use the paintbrush probably if you're going to be using something like a liquid Fimo. Now you don't need to get this when you first start off. You can use glues and all sorts of other things like that, but now I'm using it a little bit more. It is good and it does help you stick things together, and you can also make up things like if you wanted to make, say, a cup of tea. But so you want it to be that, but it would set in the cup, but it would still be clear, or you could put some colouring with it, a bit of acrylic paint or something to get you that colour of the thing you would want to make. It's quite expensive, you know, you have to make your choice whether you want to use that or not. Another thing I always have is a pencil. Always have a pencil on hand. If you haven't got a roller, you can always use a pencil to roll out your stuff. So, you know, pencils, you've got to have a pencil on the table. From Poundland, I bought a pack of 10 of these. It's just emery boards. I use them all the time when I'm working. If you've got a piece of clay and it's a bit rough on the edge when you've finished, or you've noticed that when you've made it there's a hair after it's been baked, just get your emery board in, rub it along, and you'll get your hair. It'll just come out and you won't see it there. Or if there's a jagged bit, you can just file it off with that. The same with scissors. You can cut Fimo, especially just after it's come out of the oven, when it's still a little bit warm. You can use scissors to cut it. I would get an old pair of scissors from Poundland, a cheap pair, and just use them just for that. I have scissors, I think there's another pair exactly the same as this which I keep in my woodwork set. This pair I use just for Fimo and that sort of thing, so you can have a little box and put all your little bits which you keep together. I have an old ramekin dish, but you can use any container, yogurt pot, whatever, and that's quite good when you are using the Fimo and you want to mix stuff, so that's one of the other things I keep in my box. And then I always have a roll, just from Poundland, of the cheap foil. I use it, I put inside that when I made a cauldron, I made a circle with that and put that inside. I've also used it when I've made a pie. So I've built the sides up and used that to stop it from falling over into the oven. So that's really good. You can roll it into balls and that sort of thing and make indentations on the clay. You can use it as a structure. So say if you wanted to make something larger, you could use it as a structure and then build your clay layers up on top. If you use several layers, you're going to get a nice flat. Even though the clay is bumpy, you put several layers of, even though the foil is lumpy, you put several layers of clay on it and you'll get a nice flat surface with that. So always have some foil. Right, this machine, now this is a little bit more expensive. I was very lucky and I managed to get this from a charity shop, I think. And it's really good. You put your clay inside, it all opens up. You pop your clay inside, and I don't know if you can see, you roll the handle back down and the clay will come out at the end, and it comes in all different designs. So it comes all these different bits which you can put in a square, you know, different things. These are great with the little hose. You can get a really nice sort of long, thin sausage out of those, all triangles and that. So, you know, if you've got some money, that's worth getting, and if you want it. I use it for icing mainly. If you didn't want to do that, just get an old piping nozzle and push it through, and then keep adding clay to it, and then keep pushing your finger through with the stuff on the end of the piping nozzle. Put a bit more clay in and push a bit more out, and you'll get just as nice a result, but it'll just take you a bit longer. The only thing I would say with this one is a paint clean, and you have to clean it between each colour you use, so that's that one. And then I use varnish. Now you can get a varnish which is a Fimo or a Prima varnish, or they do other ones. I just use, we actually did a wooden floor and we varnished the floor with a water-based varnish. It was a yacht varnish, I think, and I had a huge tin of it. So we had about half of it left, and I put it into a jar. I've got several jars of it, and I just use that. You can just get water-based varnishes and that, and they work perfectly well on the clay. Don't use clear nail varnish, because after a while that does go sticky. You've got lint sticking to it, bits of hair, all sorts of stuff, fluff, everything like that. So yeah, so I wouldn't use that. Right, then I've got my pastels, and I got these in the works. These two, they were £3 a set, and then I got this set just the other day for £1.50 from the charity shops, so they're great. All you do with those is you would just take your knife and take a piece of it, scrape it down, and then whatever you've got there on the table, you could use your paintbrush or whatever, so you can colour any type of clay with those. And then lastly, probably I always have a ruler on my desk anyway, but a ruler's a good idea. If you're going to work on top of your board, then you know you've got that underneath anyway on your cutting board. I work on one of those, it's a chopping board, a glass chopping board, and I find that works really well. But then I always put lots of sheets of paper on the top, and then I work on that sheet of paper. The glass chopping board underneath keeps it nice and flat, so you're going to get a flat surface. But I like to use just paper because you get a lot of lint. I don't know if you can see, just on this paper you're getting all bits of clay and all that. So as soon as I'd finish that project I was just working off, usually I would just take that off. And then the last thing I use, I was going to just say, I also have cutters. You can get all sorts of different cutters. I've got like a block of those round on one side and that, and I paid 50p, something like that. Not very much at all. Then you will need a tile, ceramic tile. I cut on this using my knife, so I would just cut on that, and I bake on this. So this goes into the oven and I will bake on that. It's absolutely perfectly fine. The other thing I was going to say about the foil is I will make a little tent over the top of my tile just to keep the items from burning when I'm putting them in the oven. But I use the tiles all the time, so you do need to get some tiles, just cheap tiles. If you go to somewhere like a tile shop or something like that, quite often they've got odd tiles that they'll just let you have for really, really cheaply. So that's another good idea to have. And my last thing is my pasta machine. You can see that. Let's see if I can move the camera so you can see it. So it's here, okay, and I got this one from a charity shop. I think it cost me £3, I'm not sure. It's really good. Comes with a clamp, so you can clamp it to the table. I would put mine here when I'm working, and then keep my clay on this side and have my pasta machine on that side. I didn't have it for years. I'm not well, so I've got problems with my hands and that sort of thing. So it's really good for helping you to put the pasta, the dough and that type of stuff through. So I would say if you've got problems with your hands and that, save up and try to get them. Look on places like Facebook marketplaces and places like that. You don't want to be buying something brand new. You'll get it really cheaply. You know, I always put a sheet of paper folded in half and I pop it underneath there, and then I have another one. And as it comes out, the clay at the bottom, I would take that sheet out, pop this one underneath, and then I've got all my clay all ready, because it'll come out crumbly in the beginning and then you just keep adding it in. So that's a really good way. You do need to condition your clay before you use it. So now there is another video on that. I think that's everything about the polymer clay. So there you go. So one last thing I forgot was that all of this stuff needs cleaning. Every time you use it, you're going to get a mess. You can see, have a look at my pasta machine. There's bits of yellow, there's bits of pink, There'll be some green in there because I used green. If you're going to use light colours, it's not so bad putting them in there. You can wash it all out. But when you're using dark colours like black, navy blue, purple, those sorts of things, you're really going to have to clean this in between. Okay, same with all the tools. Every time you use it, my tools, I've put them into the box just for now to show, but I'm going to need to clean all those before I can use them on a different colour. And the same with your hands. You're going to be washing your hands in between any light colours. So there you go. If you get a dark colour on your hands, you're going to have to scrub your hands to get that dark colour off before you start. Okay.